Sorry, this is the first time I've ever attempted to stream via Linux, so I'm just testing out audio settings. All right, I'm back. So, what I have so far, okay, so brief side story. I had a laptop that had a little tool that I built just for me to track when I should set money aside for bills. Wasn't anything crazy, super rudimentary, but I did it because there was a handful of times a couple years ago where I accidentally forgot to pay a bill. And I was like, I'm never gonna let that happen again. I need to figure out exactly how much money I need to set aside here and now. So fast forward to now, that laptop was recalled for the battery. And I gave it to Apple and they took it, and I totally forgot that it was on there. So I started rewriting something completely new, and I do have something working. I had this. So I had this initially to basically figure out, look at paydays, look at when a bill is due, and then figure out what money needs to be set aside when. And I did get this working. So if I open this up and I run node index.backup, you can see that it's working. It'll show the due date, the name of the bill, the amount, and then payments based on when I get paid. So it knows that this one's due on the 1st. So it's like, hey, you can set aside $10 on July 16th, which is the next time I get paid, and $10 on 1st August. And at that point, pay your phone insurance. All that fun stuff. So I did get it working. It was a little bit of a trial and error, but it seems to be working okay. So as a little bit of a, showing what I've done so far. So I have this storage object. All it's really doing is creating a JSON file under my home folder's config with the name corresponding to whatever it's constructed with. But this construct right here is actually a class. So that way, anytime I get the data, so for instance, like if I find something, it's gonna return that as that class instead of just raw JavaScript data, which makes it super easy to manipulate. So paydays is literally just, it extends the storage class. It sets it up to use this payday class as the construct. And then anytime that I filter or read, I want to sort by the date. And actually, I think I need to add map to that as well. Well, anyway, bills is kind of the same way, only bills are sorted by the due date or the amount. This whole little section right here kind of explains. So then we got the bill itself, which this is kind of a mess, but I can chunk I can split a bill up into however many payments just by providing it a number. I have the next due and the previously due. And then for a payday, all it's doing is just converting the data to a date, a JavaScript date. That way I can actually, compare it. So in this instance, you can see that just by mapping over bills, which is, this is an extension of the storage class, I can get each bill and then I can easily get previously due, next due. A bill can have a grace period on it. So in this case, I'm doing next due plus grace. And then a pay date range. This is where the date object for a payday comes in handy. And thus far, it's working pretty good. I get the payday range. I chunk the bill by however many paydays are in between the last due and the next due. And then I'm just pushing that stuff to a table that has due, bill, out, and it's just console logging that. So nothing super crazy, but that was just a proof of concept. Now I'm actually trying to make it into a CLI tool so I can easily add, remove, update, so on and so forth, this stuff. So yeah. Okay, so where I was at before, the idea that I have, so currently this tool is using Node.js and it's linked globally, so I can do BPD and it'll run. So what I want to do is have the commands kind of split up into two chunks when you type them out. So for instance, if I want to just list bills, I want to be able to write BPD list bills. But I also want to cover where if you just type in list, it will say, oh, what do you want to list? Do you want to list bills or paydays? Just to make it a little bit easier to remember, or I can add things in later. So currently I'm just, writing the entry script to where it can logically figure that out. And the way that I have this set up is, if these two things don't match, we're going to drill down in the command registry to execute that. Otherwise, we're just going to get this first one from the command registry and run whatever function it has attached to it. So that's the idea currently. Now, I am basing some of this off of code that I've written before. And I just got to rework it a little bit. So, trying to figure out where to go from here. So we have an action. That's the first part. I don't know if I want to name that an action. I guess what's the terminology? Like an action is done against something. Because the code that you're seeing here was based off of something that didn't have this two-step process. It just had one. You would write one argument and it would try to find that in the command registry. This is a little bit different, but I want to organize it that way, just so in the future, if I ever want to add something, I can. So my question is, was my phone being put on the charger? Okay, so we have the instructions, which is literally just the last two parts of the argument, or minus the first two parts, whatever's left, which could be nothing, or one thing or two things. And we're gonna ignore the rest. Hence why we're shifting the array because I only want to pull the first two things off of it. If I type in Bill's list, this, I don't want it to. Although that is interesting, if you do list something that doesn't exist, I'm not going to know how to handle that. So maybe we'll do something where if it can't find this one, it'll go up one to that, where it's like, hey, we couldn't find that, but here's what you can list. Okay. We have the action. Man, I know that I have named this before, this like idea of like having two separate pieces. Let me look at some code that I've done before. I'm not going to show it just because it was for work, but I'm just trying to figure out exactly how I named it so I can get a better idea. If I don't name it properly, it's going to trip me up. Look at the entry script on this one. Ah, okay. I called that a type. So there was an action, and then what type of action do you want? Okay, that makes sense. Yep. I will do that. So we're going to rename this to type. Okay, so next part is the actual command itself. Now, we don't have a registry. We can add that, though. Registry equals acquire. From the library, we're just going to have a registry, which is going to be a JSON file, just to make it a little bigger. Okay. So in this case, if the action equals the type, we're going to find and yeah, actually no, it's just entry dot name equals the action, because that'll be list. Otherwise we're going to do registry dot find entry. So this one might be a little bit more complicated. So we need to do entry dot name equals action, and the oh yeah, that's it's like recursively finding something from an array. Also, I just realized I'm gonna zoom this in a little bit. Really small. Yeah, so it has to recursively find that stuff, not only from the registry, but then from the entries, like, I don't know, types array. That's, yeah. How do I want to handle that? That's actually harder than I thought it was going to be. Damn. Okay, well, first let's try to figure out how we're gonna map this data. So we have a registry.json. Okay, so we at least know the initial ones that I kind of want to do is we have list. But okay, no. So this is an array. And that's going to be grouped by either, yeah, okay, that makes sense. So we have name is list, and the We have types underneath that. And that's going to be an array of so bills, and then in this case, name paydays. So now each one will have an object or a key value pair that will tell it where that command is. But I think so long as I name these things correctly, it should be fine. So I'm also not worried about aliases like my the example that I was going off of. I don't really care about that right now. So types, and then we have bills, and okay. We do have a registry now. So we can at least, we should be able to, okay, so if we, I got that right, and we just do that. Ooh, missing initializer and const declaration. Oh, is it because of this? There we go. Yep, that's, yeah, okay. So if it's just one, it's gonna return that whole object. The next part is we want to be able to type list bills and it know exactly how to handle it. So, sorry for the clanging. Drinking tea because sore throat for whatever reason. Okay, so this stuff down here is going to be pretty much the same. We will have a router, although I'm probably going to do it a little bit different. And we are going to have a run. So, now in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to replace that with that for now. We also don't have any log type stuff, which I'll just pull from the project that I'm referencing just to get colors. But the problem here is that this part is not as easy as I had hoped. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function called find action, right? Just so we can have these separated a little bit. So this is where just the entry name equals an action, yeah. I guess because that's asking for that part, we're gonna put it down here. Even though I like to declare functions before they're used, but whatever. Okay, so in this case, that can become this. Find action. Otherwise, we're gonna do find action type or action. So this is where it's going to look for an action type that matches. If not, but we almost need to map it, right? Okay, so in that case, we can find the action and then map for, okay, yep. Okay, so in this case, we're gonna do the same exact thing, find action, and then we're going to map over it. And this is just going to be find type. It's a type. Return type.name equals type. Okay. So but from this we need to, so we're mapping, that's not what we want. Man, that's tripping me up. So we have action and a type. So if you have an action and a type, then not only do we need to find the action, but then we have to return the type. Okay. So in this case, we can't map that because it's just one object, like so. And it's not even an array anymore, so that doesn't matter. So we can still find the action like so. So you know what we can do, just to simplify this? We could do type. So this is going to be a command action. So in this case, all we're doing is finding we're just finding the action. So command type, this is where we can say so if action equals the type, so that means that we've only provided an action, then we don't want to do anything. So null, or we do require that, that's when we're going to registry dot man. So we want to map it first, then find the type. That's what it is. Okay, so we want to map and then we want to find. Okay, so in this case, we can actually use the find type function. Because at that point, once we've mapped it, it will have turned into yeah. So then here, I guess map to types. Actually, action, because that's the level that we're. So in this case, we're going to be that's what we need to do. We need to filter by the action, then map it where we're pulling the types out of it, and then we're finding something again. That makes sense. So in this case, the remaining action, we're going to return the action types. So if we do this, oops, that is my fault. And also we need to add that there. What? Copy, paste, thank you. Oh, because we don't have a command. So the command is either going to be the command type or the command action. Okay, so we have an error. We're just going to get rid of this for now. And we're just going to console error. Something went wrong. It's not really a great error handler, but it'll do. So something went wrong. Okay. That is good. So my question is, where did it go? Right, so we have the list. So before we even run that, actually, we could do that from here. So let's do all of it. So we're gonna have the action and the type, command action, the command type, and then the command. Let's see what happens. Okay, so list, undefined, null, undefined. So why is that? So from the registry, we need to find an action. Yeah, so we're the name. Why is that? What? Why is that returning? Am I going crazy here? The name is list. So if this is list, this is the action right there, then it should find that from the registry. Okay, to make sure that I'm not going crazy, let me console log the registry. Yeah, okay, so it works. The question is why? Oh, because that's duh. God, I'm an idiot. Nope, not entry. Entry. We're going to do the same thing here because we'll run into that exact same problem. Okay, so we do this now. Okay, so that is correct. Now, the idea is that if we do list bills, okay. So let's just copy this over to well, see what's happening. Okay. So we have the action type, command action, which is the whole thing. Then it's not finding the command type, so the command is defaulting to the command action, which is the fallback that I want. That was the whole thing where if you type in list whatever, it'll say, hey, like we couldn't find that, but here's what you can list. So Yeah, so it's not even null, because that would show up null if the action. So if we just did list, yeah, you can see null is here. So that actually worked, this this condition. So we need to filter to find the action, then map. Actually, no, we want this to be find. I guess just types. Oh, well, bills. So it's going to default to the bills. Yep. Yep. So we don't even need this anymore. Cool. Actually, just save on a little space. Going to one-liners, because, yeah. So, find a type from an action from the command register. We're going to be literal here. So, which is the case. Okay, so that's all working now. Just looking over this. So now, okay, actually, I do want to check. Actually, before we do that, let me redo these so we have. So I can actually see what I'm doing. Action. Type. Command action. Command type. Then we have the command itself. Then we have, well, we don't even need the registry anymore. At least not in this case. Okay. So if we list, so the action is list, the type is list, the command action is this, the command type is null, therefore the command is going to default to the first one. Cool. We can do list bills. In this case, the command type is name bills, so in that case, we're going to default to that. We're going to default to the command type. Hence why we're doing the command type or command. If we do paydays, that will also return. If we do something random, it's going to default to the action and not the type. That's exactly what I wanted. And if we bork this one right here, it's completely not going to find anything, so it's going to error out. Cool. That actually ended up being a little bit easier than I anticipated, like initially. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the thing that I was referencing initially. Yeah, it was a command line program that probably was my best that I've ever done. Only in the fact that it requires you to answer questions when you do these commands. That way you're not taking an argument where you can accidentally bork something. So we need to look at the modules And in this, we have a router and this log function. So let's see what's in the log function first, because that's probably going to be super easy. Because I'm probably going to have to install the, yeah, okay. So in this case, we're going to do npm install chalk. We're missing right action. Hi. What? Hold on. That is dumb. I guess I probably sudo installed the stuff before. Okay, let me just do npm I. Okay. Now let's do npm I chalk. There we go. Look at that. Okay. So, I'm trying to figure out how I want to manage this. We have modules. Those are for just functions, for sets of functions. So we're going to have lib data, and that's where the registry should go. Now, okay, no. Sometimes this will update, sometimes it won't. Then we'll have classes. Whoops. No, not yet. Don't. Okay. That's. All right. Everything's organized, at least the way that I want it. So in this case, how we've done it in the previous one is just, should that be a class? It almost kind of looks like it should be, but I could be entirely wrong. We have a style, and then we have the actual log part where it's going to log a color. Okay. Style, and then warning. No, I don't think that needs to be a class. It's not doing anything crazy, so we'll just have it as a module. Okay, so as you can see here, let me get that out. Gold, red, yellow, blue, green. Now the one thing that I do want to do, I think if you do console error within Node, that will return an exit code of 1. I think. I honestly don't remember. Could look that up. Anyway, for the time being, that's fine. So we have the log function. Easy peasy. So in this case, we're going to add log this. And we're going to require lib modules log. Okay. So that's where this comes in. So now, difference here is we actually want the instruction joined together. We might not even need all of this type stuff, because really we're just saying, hey, that doesn't work. Join that together like that. that's not what I was thinking was going to happen. So, why is that happening? We do have instructions, right? Like, the instructions should be an array. So let's test this out. Console log instructions. What? That's only if we're going back. Let me actually add that to this. Instructions. And we want instruction. Oh, duh. Because we already shifted it from the array. Right here and here. So this becomes useless after these two are populated. So I guess in that case, right? Really what we need to do is we need to have const message equals, does the action equal the type? I think is the, if that's the case, then the I don't want to rewrite it. So in this case, it would just be, we would just want the action. Otherwise, we would want the action. Oops. We would want the action plus the type, like so. Yeah. Okay. Now, I guess this does make sense, right? So we're just seeing if it has an action. We're gonna have an error. So we want, actually, okay. So yeah, we can still have that. In this case, we're going to have the command to show, and we can put that here, command. So we also want to yeah, I mean, I guess we can do that. Like if there's an action, do this. Otherwise, don't even cares. Right? So we can get rid of this part. And we bring back that part. Great, so now it's undefined. What are you talking about? It's undefined. Oh. I think we should be able to. No. I guess we could get around this if just break this out of that, right? And just do Yeah, message equal that. We also need a type. Oops. Type. So have pipe message. Now I don't want to call it command because we already have command. I guess we could call it invalid command. Is that right? Because it is. And in this case, do invalid command. Get rid of this output. Cool. So what does that? There we go. What? This is like so perplexing to me. That's gonna be correct. List. That's still gonna be correct because the first part's correct. So we literally only are. As a matter of fact, at the end of this, let me put action and type just to see why that's happening. It's error. Why is it error? What? That is so bizarre to me. We have the action and the type. Because if we do this, right, like list, you can see that both the action and the type are the same. List and... So why in the hell am I getting an error on that one? Is it just that like phrase or something? Like add will be one. No, it's still add error. So if those two are equal, and I mean, this can just be commanded. We've already done that part. Actually, we can do this. So if it has types, then we can do command action find. Sorry, command action at types find. Otherwise, no. And now that this is bothering me, I'm gonna take this, flip this around. So, I mean, that's working. That's working. My question is why, when I do lists, right? And it's still doing the error thing, which is so... Oh my god. I'm losing my mind over here. Like, I'm trying to figure out why in the fuck type. Like, what? I'm seriously confused by this. Like, there's no reason why that one should be an error. Unless these instructions aren't working properly. As a matter of fact, let me put args, right? So this is an array. We got that, then we got these two pieces. Cool. Just to match what we have. Up top, do that. Should still give me the same issue. So, okay, so the instructions part, even though we don't have access to it, is just grabbing the last two. Right there. I mean, you could see that is no different than that. Oh, I have type. Oh my god. Good Lord. I'm sitting over here trying to figure out like what the hell I did wrong. Yeah, just to make this a little bit more literal. Good Lord. Okay. So, we do that now. There we go. Finally. Even, you know, this should work where it's saying, hey, that isn't a valid command. And then if we just do that, there we go. You need to specify command to run. So the error handling is good. Now we have to do the router part and actually start setting up commands. And I think the one that I'll set up tonight is the list command, where if you just type in list or list plus whatever isn't, you know, not something that's not valid, it'll just say, hey, what do you want to list? And it'll give you options of bills or paydays. So I'm going to do that right after I take a quick break. So I will be right back. Okay, I am back. Let me just make sure. Yep, All right, everything looks good there. Actually, what I want to do, it's audio properties. That's fine. I want to bump the mic audio up a bit. Testing, testing. Yep, okay. That's up a little bit. That's good. Okay. Like I said, this is the first time that I've ever streamed from my Linux setup, so it's kind of weird. Okay, so we have that stuff. The next part that I'm going to pull from stuff that I've done before is what I called a router. And let's see here. Got a text message. Okay, so let me copy that, and we're gonna put that in here because this is also something that really doesn't need in class. So the whole thing with this, right, is we give it a command and we grab the name from that command. And then we try to get that command's... Okay, so that will pose a problem, right? Because we almost need to give it... When you do the action and then the type, you almost need to give it that structure. Okay. Do that. So when it's this, right? So in this case, right, we need an array. One for the command action, the other for the type. So in this case, right, so if we do list bills, it's going to return the first one and then that one. Okay. Then in here, we can we want to do that. We're grabbing the name like that, but that's not what we want. We want the name to be either. So we're going to look, the type of command is an object or an array. I don't know why they don't have their own specific type in JavaScript. We are going to take the command, we're going to return only the entry name, and we are going to join it like so. Otherwise, we just want command.name. Okay. So I think that'll do it. Now this stuff is, these are like functions that that I'll have in the actual script itself. Many of these I'll probably be able to get rid of later on, only because a lot of this stuff was done because it was doing server stuff, so it needed to say like, oh, I don't know, we'll see though, but it's interesting. You can do questionless commands, you can do question commands, and you can even have stuff that happens beforehand, or you can validate it before it even runs. So that's kind of the way that that's set up. So I think that's good. What I want to do, however, is instead of doing all of this, right, we want to just grab this part and console log it. Like so. Just to make sure we're actually doing stuff. Also, that, so we go up one, then another, then commands, then, yeah, okay, yep, great. So, let's see here. Let's bring in the router then. Whoops. Router. Wire. Lib. Modules. Router. Okay. And then here, we're going to pass the command over to the router. So in this case, this is valid. So what we should see is, yep, commands, list, bills, script.js. So that's where the actual data for that command is going to be. We do list. Ooh, okay. It is still an object. How do we, I guess we could do it that way, right? We're already handling it. So but that's still throwing it off. So, okay. So in this case, if command type exists, we want to return command type, command action along with the command type. Otherwise, we just want to return command action within an array. Okay. And now if we go over to the router, we don't need to look for this anymore. We can always expect for it to we can actually do that. Well, I guess we're already handling that, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, do that. Okay, so let's try this again. Yep, commands list script.js. We could do list bills, list paydays. Yep, cool. All right, so that part of it is working as anticipated. So from that, get rid of all of this, bring that back up, that, Actually, this is more so like path. Okay, so we do need to install Inquirer. Yeah. I don't know why that name looks so funny to me. Okay. So we got that part done. So this literally means that we will need to, not there, create a new folder, commands separate from the library, and we will have a new folder called list. And inside of there, we will have a folder called bills and a folder called paydays. So that's kind of the idea. Now, we're gonna have an index.js. I think we're gonna utilize another library because basically any time that you don't include an action, for the most part, it's just gonna say, what do you wanna select from, bills or paydays? When you do add, remove, update, all of that stuff, it's all gonna have the same type of selection method. So there's really no reason to constantly keep rewriting that. Now, for the time being, I'm just gonna get this working. We have that. We're also gonna need a questions thing right here, but I'm first going to kind of look back on what I've done before, just to make sure that I'm setting this stuff up right. So that doesn't require, okay. So we have, so this is script.js, not index.js. And then we also have a questions.js. Okay. So let's look at the structure of the questions. Okay. So it's just module exports. It's been a while since I've worked with Inquirer. So really what we need to do is have a select box. We'll leave that as is for right now. Let me go back to commands. There is, here we go. I know for a fact that this one that I'm looking at has that. Okay. So first we're gonna pull in the registry. Oops. So this is gonna go up another, and we're going to lib, yep. Data registry. Okay. So we have that. So this one is going to be type of list. It has the name of type. Message. What would you like to list? Question. And then the choices are going to be the registry mapped we need to find entry.name equals list. And types. So those are the choices. I guess in this case we should. And what do we name that in this one? Basically this. But we're going to rename it to find list action. Find the list action from the command registry. List. That's. I try to avoid anonymous functions just so when I go back and read this, I can go, oh, registry.find, find list action. Okay, yeah. And then I have a comment and stuff like that. Because when you just see this, at least for me, sometimes it can just throw me off. So. Okay, so that's all we need. That's the only question. Now, yeah, how do we... So we're going to have to map this as well. So, I didn't even think of that. Type to choice. Okay, so this is going to require type. How do we want to? So we have to return an object with a name and a value, right? But okay. I mean, I guess we could just do, right? So we pull the name from type, and then value can also just equal, because that's not something that you see. Map type to choice. Okay. Convert action type to selectable. Okay, so we got the questions. Now let me see how we do this, because it's been a long time since I've set this up. Okay, so we have an object. There's just a valid, invalid. So in this case, I don't know. Let me actually look at that. I don't think we need. So if the valid does not equal undefined and valid exists or does not exist, what? Okay, whatever. I'm just gonna return true for that. We have invalid. It's not invalid. That's yeah, so I'm looking at the example here of one that I did before. I'm just gonna this is invalid. Ideally it would be checking something, but I honestly don't even think we need these two. But Okay, so in this case, we do want to grab the log. Lib module log. Yep. So now that's not freaking out. Okay, so the next part is the pre. And this is where I honestly think we should make this a class at some point. I'm not really worried about that right now, but anyway, we can do log info. Now I think this is the same exact thing that I'm asking in the question. What would you like to list? Would you, yeah. So we might not even need the pre function, but we have questions. We can return, require question. So then we have a main function where we get the answers back. Okay. So let me just log. Let me just do a normal console. Okay. So if we set this up correctly, this should work. Let's find out. Yeah, okay. So what would you like to list? Now, okay, so at least in questions, I suppose this should say, select a resource to list. Something like that. None of that. Select a resource to list. Okay, and then we have bills and paydays. So if we select bills, we get back type bills. Because that is that. If we do that again, do paydays, we get back type paydays. Okay. That makes sense. Let me just take a sip of my tea. Okay. So we basically have that set up. This stuff, I mean, this, I don't even think we need this. You do want that. Like, okay, let me just, if we get rid of that, right? And we just do that. Yeah, okay, it still works. So we don't even need that. Okay, so in this case, if we go back, example. So we want to pull the type out of the answers, which we saw got returned. And then in this case, we almost need the router again. Wire lib modules router. We're gonna recursively do this. So, that will be interesting. So we're just gonna do this fast and to return the router. In this case, we need an array, the first of which is going to have list. The second of which is going to have that. Right? So now we're flipping it back over. Now, if we were to run this, it's going to freak out because it can't find that, but you can see that it's going to point to the correct spot. So that's good. This is the thing that I have to bootstrap to make sure that I use this later on. So just to make sure that at least one of these is working. You just need a script. We don't have to have questions for this one. Let me just copy this. We do not need the router in this. So in this, we could say, here's a list of your bills. So we do not need a question. We just have a main. Now in this case, we do need to have, we're gonna need bills require this has to go up one more. This has to go up one more. Classes. Freaking out. Lib. Classes. Bills. And then we have bills. New bills. So we have that. What else? We also want to use the table. Okay, so that's called CLI table. Okay. And table is going to equal new table. But with this, we have what head, basically. So throw that in there. So we want the due date. So actually, what we'll do, we'll have the bill, the amount. We'll have previously due and next due. Okay. Yep. So in this case, we don't have any answers. So in this case, does this log one just have a normal one? I guess we'll just use console log. Console log the table to string. Yep. Run it. Okay, so in this case, we are going to map over the bills. So for each bill, table, I think you just push it. Yep, table.push, yeah, you just push it. So table.push. And in this case, we are gonna give it an array. We want what do we want? So there's bill data which I believe, let me see here, look at classes. So this is the data. So we have the name, amount, due, and then the grace period on. Ooh, that is something that we should probably have. Bill amount, these are the correct ones, and then okay. So we want basically just want all of these except due. From bill.data, then we were going to have previously due going to be equal to bill.previously due. Next due is going to be equal to bill.next due. So we will have the name as is, not the amount as is, but we'll figure that out here in a second. Previously due, the next due, and grace period, which will also not be the same. So let's just see if that works. So if we just do list, we select bills. Whoops. Cannot find module what? That from? Classes storage. Oh. That never updated. Okay. Okay, yeah, no, that did in fact work. We have the bill, the amount. We want to make this, you know, actually like readable. Previously due. Yep. And then this, I want it to be where it either says like 5 days or none. So what we will do like amount USD. So that will be a $sign plus the amount to fixed to something like that. So let's add that, put that there. Also, we should check this to make sure. Yeah, okay. Okay, so that's correct. 20. Yep. So the amount looks okay. So now we need to do the previously due stuff. So let me look. I think I just did something really simple. Yeah, to date string. Oops. Not mean to put that on there. And actually, as a matter of fact, we can just do it here. There's no reason to put it down. But okay, yeah, that way it doesn't do the cutoff thing. Okay, and then all we need is the grace period. So if there is a grace, we are going to do grace days, otherwise none. And that will be put here, period. So, bada bing, bada boom. 5 days, 5 days, 5 days, 5 days, 2 days, none, 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 none. Yep. So yeah, that works. And honestly, that is like super simple. Now, this stuff, like I said, I think I do want to convert this to a class. Only because that way we can instantiate this from the library and pass it this right here. Because everything else will be almost exactly the same. You know what I mean? Like the question is going to be, the questions are going to be slightly different, but we could probably roll this all up into one thing. Or, I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's tough. The questions will probably have to stay, but the script itself, we can just pull from a class and within the constructor pass it this as its name, and then it can basically just run that. You can populate that, you know, what would you like to add? What would you like to remove? What would you like to, like, you could basically make this kind of easy. Cool. Well, I'm pretty happy with the fact that we got this basically running. I mean, now I just have to populate like the actual commands, but you know, it's better than me running just this clunky thing. I want it to be where this is organized and I can easily, you know, it'll tell me, oh, okay, found an issue. Command map. Cannot read property. Router.js. What are you talking about? What in the hell? Index.js 23. Okay. But it shouldn't be. Let me see what's happening. Let me just console log it. Undefined. So this let's filter it for Boolean and then check to see if it has any length. That should do it. Yep. 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 Cool. So now we'll be able to do that. That, yep. We can do list, we can select bills, or we can just do list bills. That works. Awesome. Cool beans. Well, this was the first time that I've ever streamed coding, like, at all. I'm sure it was unbelievably boring, but I had fun. I did a lot of problem solving. Yeah. Well, thank you to anyone who stopped by and checked things out. I might do this again. We'll see. Anyway, I will catch y'all later. Peace.